Hello, and welcome back to Management Information Systems. This is Mary Jo Black, and I am your instructor, and we're going to talk about Module 6, how to manage a workbook and its data. So the things that we're going to do in Module 6 is we're going to view and arrange worksheets, protect worksheets and workbooks, save custom views, add worksheet backgrounds, prepare a workbook for distribution, insert hyperlinks, save a workbook for distribution, and group worksheets. So one of the really cool tools that Microsoft Excel has is the ability to be able to compare data. An example of this would be to arrange windows, so arrange different worksheets so that they're side by side so that you can view them and arrange them. This is an example of how you would do that by using the Arrange Windows tool. And you can have it tiled, horizontal, vertical, cascade. Here's an example of a vertical comparison or arranging the worksheets so that you can look at them in a vertical position. This is really effective when you're trying to find mistakes or if you're trying to find out why things aren't going the way they should in a workbook. If you put them next to each other, it's really great to be able to see what you're doing in the two worksheets. You can also split a worksheet into multiple panes, vertically or horizontally. And those are things that you're going to do in this particular module as part of your exercises. You can lock cells. What that means is when you have a cell that's locked, you cannot make any changes in it. If you have an unlocked cell, then data entry can occur. So someone can go in and do a data entry. If you have cells that are read-only, that means that you can look at them, but you can't change them. You can also protect a sheet. This is an example of protecting a sheet or protecting existing cells within a worksheet. And what it does is it changes the sheet to protected so no changes can be made. This is great if you want to share things with other people that are in your organization, but you don't want them to be able to make changes to your work. Something that really works great in workbooks and worksheets is the ability to freeze panes. So if you've ever worked in a worksheet and you scroll down and all of a sudden you don't see the headers anymore, it's like, okay, so what was it exactly that that column had in it? Well, you can make it easy for yourself by going in and freezing panes. And what that means is that when you do scroll, then the panes at the top will stay there, and the panes at the bottom can be scrolled up and down. You can also create custom views. When you create custom views, you can hide rows and columns, and you can also filter the data that's seen. And when you save custom views, then what you're doing is you're making available only a particular view of a data sheet. When we talk about custom views in a worksheet, what you're going to see is you're going to see vertical and horizontal dashed lines when it's in a normal view. When the page breaks are dynamic, they adjust automatically when you insert or delete rows in the columns. So if you have page breaks in your worksheet, what will happen is you can adjust the page breaks dynamically to be able to include information that you're adding. You can manually add or remove page breaks by clicking on the Page Layout tab and then clicking on the break buttons in the Page Setup group and clicking the appropriate command. So this is kind of something that can be effective when you want to have certain parts of a worksheet appear and you can put a page break in so that everything that you want to have appears on page 1, and then there's a break, and then the second part of your data appears on page 2. You can also create a worksheet background. A lot of times you'll see watermarks. I use watermarks quite often when I am creating a worksheet that's being shared, but it's a draft, and I may put a draft watermark in my worksheet so that everyone knows that that particular worksheet is in a draft format and not finalized. Here's an example of a worksheet that has a watermark on it, and it's the logo. You can also add worksheet backgrounds using things called screenshots. And I know many of you have used screenshots with the snipping tool. To get to the snipping tool, you can go to the window orb, click on it, and type in snip. And if you have it available on your computer, you can snip pieces of a worksheet or a view of a worksheet and save it, and then you can paste it into an Excel workbook. You can also do that through a command on your computer if you're using a PC. Is Control Alt and Print Page, and that will save the entire background or the entire window. It won't save a particular portion. You would need to use the snipping tool to do that. So when you want to prepare a workbook for distribution, which means you're going to share it with other people, one of the things you need to do is in the properties area, you can have keywords and metadata, which helps people be able to find worksheets, or for that matter, for you to find worksheets. So you can mark it as final, so the file is read-only. Once you set up a Windows Live account, you can save that file to the cloud, or you can use OneDrive. Now, one of the things that we do here is we have OneDrive for Business. You may have something in your organization that is used by your organization that they want you to use as a cloud solution or a place to save information. Maybe you have intranet, which means it's shared with all of your work team members, or it's shared within a unit or whatever. Those would be places that you could distribute your workbook. There's also what is called the Document Inspector Properties dialog box. So what that does is it tells you what you have enabled in your document. Now, if you go to the Document Properties panel, you'll notice that you can set up the properties area, which means that you can put in a title, subject, author, manager, etc. And what that will do is it will allow you to have that searchability, or the ability to find a document if you can't remember what the name of the document is. And again, you'll go through some of these things when you do Module 6 assignment. Hyperlinks. So hyperlinks can also be put into workbooks, and hyperlinks can be extremely effective when you want to direct somebody to another page or a target. So you can create a hyperlink by actually highlighting a word, right-clicking, and then clicking on the hyperlink button, and you can send them to another existing file, another place in the document. You can create a new document, an email address, or maybe you want to send them to an existing web page. You can do all of those things by creating a hyperlink. So let's talk a little bit about headers and footers. You have headers and footers that are can be a part of your workbook. Some people choose to use them, others don't. Headers and footers can be set up so that they're just on the first page of the workbook or worksheet, or you can have them different headers and footers on odd and even pages of the workbook. You can use research tools like the review tab, the smart lookup, the smart lookup button in the insights group, online and locally. So these are very effective tools that you can use that are a part of your workbook. Also, when you save your workbook, one of the things you can do is you may have a colleague that doesn't have Office 2016. You can save your workbook as an earlier version, like maybe 97 through 2003 or 2010 through 2013. What happens then is then your colleagues are able to open it in the version that they have. A lot of times if you have a very current version of Office, like we have Office 2016, people that have older versions of Office can't open those documents. A way to get around that is to save it in an older version and then send it to your colleagues that way. So you can share Excel data by publishing it on a network. You can also publish it on an intranet, which means that it's shared within your organization. You can also save in HTML, which is HTML is hypertext markup language. You can save it as a web page, and you can also save it as a PDF. So you can save it in multiple ways to share with your colleagues or other people in your organization. So here's some information concerning workbook formats. Remember that .xlsm, that is, or .xls, that's an older version of Excel, but if you save it as XLSM, that means that it may contain macros. HTM or HTML is a web page. And you can see that there's a lot of different versioning or file extensions you can save it as. And when you go to Save As, you can use the drop down to save it in a certain format. There's also what are called group worksheets. Group worksheets are when a group of worksheets are saved together. So in order to do that, and you're going to be able to do this in your assignments, you use the Shift key and the Control key to save worksheets in groups. So as you work through Module 6, you'll get to practice all these things that we're talking about. And the book does a really nice job of taking you through so that you understand what each of these concepts mean. Be sure to get in touch with me if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next module.